Alright guys, Season 7's update for Vessel of Hatred users. So if you do not have the expansion, these will not be applying. So this is the DLC, the expansion Vessel of Hatred. More than likely though, you still could play your character, just won't be as powerful unless you own the expansion because you're going to lose access to the, of course, Runewords and the new runes. So starting right off with the Vessel of Hatred new stuff coming out for Season 7, we have some new items. So we have Aspect of Endless Talents. This is a new aspect for the Spiritborn class. It says Razor Wings hitting an enemy increases your eagle skill damage by 1% for 4 seconds up to 30 to 50x. Razor Wings critical strikes grant 3 stacks. So if you crit with it, you can start building up these stacks faster. Pretty cool stuff. So obviously this skill itself is a eagle skill, but remember you can convert your other skills into eagle skills, so it can maybe benefit other builds that aren't necessarily just this, but obviously you have to cast those once in a while, otherwise the stacks will fall off and then he'll lose its potency. Next up, though, we have Sustained War Crozer, a unique quarterstaff. So it's a brand new item. So it's going to give you block chance, dex, max life, focus ranks, and 26 to 35% chance for potency skills to do double damage. And then it has a unique power where your focus skills benefit from all of their upgrades and increase the damage of your potency skills by up to 20x for 8 seconds up to 200x. Okay, so it's a pretty big number over there. Then we have some new runes for new rune words. We have the ritual rune Nagu Legendary, so it says tyrannical, 100 offering generated, maintain at least 1 active summon for 5 seconds, gain offering for each up to 6 summons. So if you have 6 summons, that's for each one. That's actually pretty good. I feel like if you're playing a minion build, this is an absolute must. It's just a free way to generate it if you're playing a minion build. Then you have Igni, which is a legendary, which grants you 25 offering generated, and it stores offering every 0.3 seconds, and after casting a non-basic skill, gain the stored offering up to 500. So you can just hold on to it, and then you just push the button, and then you can just get this big, huge amount. But it stores it quite fast, so you can still probably just run this on anything. It's a pretty good, like, generic one for most classes as well, but obviously you're playing summons. I mean, you just keep on gaining this one. This one's like the easiest one to generate. You don't even need to do anything. And then Invocation Runes, well, you have to play a minion build, but Invocation Runes over here, we have Chalk, which is a rare, it says Cloudburst. It does 220% weapon damage and it costs 20 offering. It invokes Druid Lightning Bolts, striking a nearby enemy, and its overflow is to spawn even more Lightning Bolts, okay? So that's kind of cool. I wonder if people can make builds around just the Runewords. This is going to be really cool because it is a decent amount of damage here, and I'm curious to see if this actually does become a thing. Maybe if there's any other builds that, like, when you do like lightning or nature damage, X, Y, and Z can happen, or when you do non-physical to support the other classes. I like this kind of like theory crafting. If there's anything really good with this, let me know, because this, I mean, it only costs 20. This maybe has some potential here. Next up, though, as far as balance update, Spiritborns, I expect some massive nerfs here, but Thunder Spike, the vigor generated, so it goes up by almost 50%, so giving us an extra 2. Thunder Spike, the vulnerable duration got increased. Sharp Thrash, ferocity gained is extra. Stinger, the damage got increased. Enhanced Stinger, you get 60% instead of 50, so another 10% increase. Concussive Stomp, 10% increase. Maximum Barrier got increased from 30 to 40% of your maximum life. Oh, these are all buffs. Cooldown reduced from 15 to 8. Touch of Death. Touch of Death swarms now ignores invulnerable enemies. We actually just recently dropped the Touch of Death build. It's kind of a fun thing. And then we have Razor Wings. The maximum active Razor Wings got increased. You can get 3 or more out. And then the Endurance, the Vigor generated, got increased. Basically just straight up doubled here. I always try to look at the high numbers because that's kind of what matters. But yeah, doubled over there. Then with Velocity, the previous, if you've dealt damage within the last 5 seconds and are moving, you generate extra Vigor per second. Then now you just generate it while moving. You don't have to do any damage. And then Bastion, we got a Thorns increase of, like, they just tripled that Thorns. Maybe Thorns would be something to lock in with a Spiritborn. And then previous, you used to be able to gain evade charges with acceleration. After you evade, your next eagle skill does increase damage. Now you gain 1 additional evade charge. And then after evade, your eagle skills do increase damage for 2 seconds. Then we have Auspicious, which makes so delay gain to bear after taking damage got reduced. And then we have the Protector. So rank 5, the Protector's domain pulses for 80% of your thorns as physical damage to nearby enemies within every second. So this one actually got a nerf, unfortunately, but the other one got a pretty nice buff. It's like triple the damage there. Now with the Seeker, at rank 5, the Seeker's damage is increased by up to 40% of your critical strike and vulnerable damage bonuses. And then we have the Hunter. The Hunter's initial damage will execute injured non-boss enemies. You'd only really want it on bosses, to be honest. But next up, the Devourer. At rank 5, the Devourer's damage is increased by 150% of your healing bonus. So maybe you can start stacking like healing for another more interesting way to actually play. We have some Spirit Hall changes for the Spiritborn. So how it works is after hitting enemy, you would reduce their damage by 2.5 and slow them, and then this would stack up to 8 times, and all skills are now Centipede. Now, hitting an enemy will reduce their damage by 2%, so it got nerfed, and then it also slows them by 10% and deals 70% poisoning damage over 6 seconds, stacking up to a maximum of 8 times. So you can stack this poison 8 times 70% damage. Maybe this could be something to consider. That's like a huge rework on it. I mean, you still get the slow, but now we have this big amount of damage. Now, keep in mind that that is 70 over 6 seconds. But if you stack this up a lot more, there's also one where your damage over times with like crits, they just like deal the damage instant or something. There is like a thing that we were running. Is it noxious? Your crit strikes cause your poisoning on an enemy to burst, dealing the poison damage instantly. So you don't have to actually wait for it. So try running this if you want to try out maybe a Centipede build. That'll be kind of cool to try out. I'm actually more excited about Spiritborn now that this is like maybe a top tier build sometimes. It's, to be honest though, with Diablo 4, it's really hard to gauge what's the best build without even playing, because again, unintended actions are literally every single season that's been like the top builds, right? Anyways, Ego Secondary Spirit Hall, the delay before the bonus reset is increased from 2 to 4. And then Sky Augments with a weapon recipe. The chance for Razor Wings projectiles to cast twice got replaced with Razor Wings to deal double damage. Okay, so over there before where you would get like the multiplier off that's kind of like worse for that build. But if you are just playing Razor Wings, well then it's totally fine because you're just getting double anyways. Then the defensive recipe, maximum resolve stacks replaced with percent armor. Ooh, so you can't even get resolve stacking anymore. So it's that's a massive nerf to the Spiritborn in the next season. Wow. That alone, remember, they're supposed to be nerfing Spiritborn by just fixing it so these multipliers are like giving like double dipping with like some of the Jaguar stuff. But it's not only that, but the resolve stacking was a huge source of extra bonus damages here. Anyways, next up we have the Soil Augments, which is a chance for Touch of Death swarms to reinfect on hit, replaced with increased to Touch of Death duration, so it'll last longer. But if it does more damage over the duration, if you do take this thing that I was talking about, which is the Noxious Resonance, then in theory this should just be a pretty big DPS increase. And then we have Touch of Death swarm duration removed. Then with Legendary Aspect we have Bristleback, so we get basically a little bit buff on the Thorns here, additional functionality on Ruthless Aspect. Now always grants Jaguars a 15% critical strike chance. Then with Aspect of Layered Wards, block damage reduction got increased, so it's a buff over there. The Aspect of Reactive Armor, block attacks no longer have to come from a close enemy. And then we have Sticker Thoughts Aspect, which no longer drops for the Spiritborn as they don't have channeled skills. Oh, okay. And then we have Aspect of Rallying Reversal, Aspect category changed from offensive to utility, so that means you can put it on like your boots and stuff. And then Exhilaration no longer requires enemies to be vulnerable for its effect to activate, like hit bonus per stack of Ferocity got basically doubled over there from 3 to 5. And the Aspect of Pestilence Swarm's duration got increased, so they doubled it. And the additional Swarm duration got reduced from 100 to 50, so it's pretty much just the same. And then increasing the Swarm duration from 3 to 4.5. Okay, so basically they increased the duration, but then the additional Swarm got cut in half, and then they moved this number up. So overall, I want to say this should be a net buff. And then next up we have the Aspect of Tenacity, so you gain Resolve for each of Vigor you gain over 100, and then you gain Resolve for each 40 to 20 Vigor you gain while at maximum Vigor. This Resolve can overfill your maximum Resolve stacks by 5. That could be good, but remember, we're not going to be able to stack Resolves. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get a lot more in other ways, but this would be kind of a nicer buff there. And then we have Aspect of Biting Morass, so close enemies or those that you deal indirect damage to are slowed by 30 to 70 for 3 seconds, and then you get to deal 20x increased damage to slow enemies, so this is getting a 10% increased buff. Remember, the aspects are supposed to be easier to achieve. And the Aspect of Deflection, Invasive Razor Wings upgrade now causes reflected Razor Wings to spiral outwards. Okay, that's kind of cool. And then we have some unique items. These are brand new, I believe, or maybe are getting reworked. We have Scorn of the Earth unique boots for the Spiritborn. Effects that reduce evade's cooldown now affect Soar's evade override. Soar deals damage based on distance traveled increased from, what was it, max 275 to 425, so it's a pretty sizable buff. Soar grants maximum life as barrier replaced a lightning resistance. And then bonus Soar damage got increased from 50x to 100x, so doubling up over there. And the Band of the First Breath unique ring, so lucky chance wave of barrier got replaced with critical strike chance, so that's good. And then bonus damage after getting resolve replaced with resource generated when losing resolve. Okay. And they have ranks to auspicious replaced with maximum resolve stacks. Oh, so they're moving resolve stacks. So you don't even need to roll it because the other one was plus, what was it, 5. And then if you could just get all your resolve off of this ring, maybe you can consider that. Then casting evade consumes resolve to generate vigor, and then you gain armor hides passive effect. And then casting evade consumes a stack of resolve to increase your damage dealt. Oh, okay, cool. And then you also gain armor hides passive effect. So you still gain that, but now you get to just get extra damage here. And then the Wushnakpa unique glaive, casting an ultimate skill restores primary resource replaced with maximum life. Primary spirit hall potency got increased. They just straight up doubled the potency of the hall. Now, going back to what I was talking about with the poison, if we can get the primary spirit hall, remember how it was like, what, 70%, and you can stack that like 8 times? And if we could, I'm not sure if it increases both of the numbers, but if it's just stacking on both, man, maybe this is going to be something fun to try out for the Spiritborn users. I'm really excited now for Spiritborn. Originally, I was honestly going to just be disappointed because I expected just straight up nerfs, but they're giving us more toys to play with. There's a ring of the Rithing Moon unique ring. The ranks of unrestrained power replaced with chance for Pestilent Swarms to deal double damage. Pestilent Swarm's damage got increased over here, basically doubling the damage over with the Pestilent Swarm. The delay between spawning them has been decreased, so that's a nicer thing. Pestilent Swarm duration got basically doubled over here. Vigor generated when Pestilent Swarm hits an enemy is increased from 1 to 3. And then the Rod of Kepeleke, the thing that everyone was playing, takes a big nerf over here. But with the Wushnakpa, I mean, I'm going to try out that poison build. So ranks of velocity got replaced with ranks of vigorous. No longer reduces core skill damage dealt by up to 30. So you are getting kind of a buff here. But the bonus critical strike damage for each point of vigor consumed reduced from 1 to 3 to 0.1 to 0.5. So that is a big nerf. That's what, divided by 6 at the highest end? Yeah, it's a divide by 6. But you are getting a buff here. But the thing is that if you actually understand how the item works, this was not really it's not something that's going to really apply because you're going to basically expend all your spirit. How it would work is if it would spend all of your spirit, then you would still be able to deal like the full damage anyway. So even though I'm telling you guys this is a buff right here in terms of this number, it doesn't really matter because you would never use it when you didn't have like max resource for the most part once you're at like the end game. So basically just divide by 6 is the best way to put it. This, even though technically as long as you're still like, I guess, utilizing your like buildup of spirit because it converts your cores to basic skills. It's not going to cost anything anyways, but it had a penalty if you were building it up. Anyways, Jacinthe Shell, life on hit replaced with armor percent. That is quite nice. Remaining cooldown duration reduction from 3 to 2 seconds. So it's getting nerfed? Really? What? Why would they nerf it? It's not even something that a lot of people are like using anyways. Spending vigor at healing got increased from what, this isn't even an increase. It's just that like it rolls a little bit more consistent here. That's so sad. This is actually one of the coolest items in the game and then they nerfed it, even though we didn't even play it. It's a really cool idea. It basically drains your health for cooldown reduction and then you'd have to kind of figure out a way for your build to solve with resources and stuff. That's really disappointing. I have genuinely no idea why they nerfed this because people weren't playing with it anyways. This, though, technically, in some instances, could be considered a buff, but I'm just kind of disappointed with that one. All right. Anyways, Paragon, the Hubris Legendary Glyph, the maximum Thorns got increased, so it's a big buff to Thorns. Spiny Skin Legendary Node, the Thorns bonus, so they're leading into lots of Thorns and, like, poison here. Bitter Medicine, the Legendary Node, so when you would heal for 100% of maximum life, you would deal, like, 20% of the damage to close enemies. It's increased by your healing received bonus. So when you heal for 100% of your maximum life, you get to deal, they just times it by 10, causing them to take increased poison damage for 6 seconds up to 40. So you get to deal a big chunk of damage, and then they take more poison damage. So if you can somehow fit this in the build, when you could heal. I don't know if like overflow works with this, like if you were to heal technically like with some like life per second or something, but to be honest, life per second is such a bad stat in Diablo 4 unless there's some note here that they're updating it. It was like I don't remember what the exact number is. You get like 12 life per 5 seconds. It was like something super terrible. So with the new powers though, if you're able to heal for 1% and you can do it fast enough, I mean, you could just consider this like up to 40x damage. This one might be a little bit tough to hit, but again, you're able to actually deal some good damage too. Cool. I want to save this for specifically before I get into like the mercenaries. I kind of wanted to just make this one just for the Spiritborn now that we've seen it, because I was expecting some like massive nerfs, and it looks like it's just basically pretty big hit to like Kepeleke, which is what we were playing before. But honestly, they even said Spiritborn is like is probably going to be one of the strongest classes in like the campfire chat. So I want to say that if you are looking at Spiritborn and you want something else to play, I actually just recently uploaded Touch of Death, like before they started announcing all these things. So it's going to be even stronger, and it was pretty good already, and it didn't dip into too many of the bugs. Obviously, with the resolve stacking, everyone had to play resolve stacking. It was like too good to leave out, but you could still get resolve stacking by other areas. You just don't have to roll it, which it might be a little bit easier to get even more damage. But are you guys excited about Spiritborn? How do you feel about the Spiritborn changes in the expansion over here? I guess that's what I want to kind of focus this video on, and we'll cover the rest of the stuff in another video for the rest of the expansion. But I really want to know, because a lot of people, including myself, I just locked in with Spiritborn, and I just didn't really want to play any other class because any of the other classes were so far behind. But will you guys be playing Spiritborn the next season? That is the real question for me. I'll be honest, I'll probably end up playing every single thing, but I'm going to be starting off with Rogue. Anyways, take care, and if you guys are new here and want to see the rest of the updates, I'll be dropping it very soon. But take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Check the pin for more videos.